Who are the Americans? They're only 4% of the world's population. They are the ones who create 1/4 of all the goods and services on the planet, and that's as much as the output 3 billion people in China and India. What is the American economy? It's half of the world's most valuable companies, and at the top, in the top 10 of those 10, 8 are American. But why is this economy so strong? Today, we will answer that question. The history of United States economic dominance on a global scale is fascinating and full of interesting events. This process began in the 19th century and continues until today. Let's travel back in time and tell you how the United States became a major economic player on the world stage. Chapter 1. The Glitter of Gold and the Call of the West. The Gold Rush as a catalyst for development. In the dense wilderness of the Wild West, where every sunset promised new opportunities, the sight of gold glimmering in the sunlight was not only a source of wealth, but also a catalyst for tremendous change. The gold rush became a magnet for those who dreamed of a better life, freedom, and uncharted horizons. California gold rush, treasure hunting in the West. With rumors of rivers of gold and an abundance of precious metals in the West, intrepid adventurers left their homes, leaving everything behind in pursuit of a new life. California became the epicenter of the gold rush, attracting thousands of daredevils willing to risk everything for the coveted glint of gold. Life on the ranch, discovering the Wild West. Not everyone went for the gold, however. Some decided to settle in the vastness of new territories, establishing ranches and beginning life in the Wild West style. Here, amidst the smell of fresh hay and the expanse of land that spread out before their eyes, new forms of society were born, imbued with a spirit of freedom and independence. The pioneers and their quest for freedom. The pioneers, bold and adventurous, headed into uncharted areas, drowning in danger and the unknown with only one goal: to find their corner of freedom under the blue skies of the Wild West. Their quest for self-determination and steadfastness in the pursuit of happiness set the stage for an era that will forever be remembered in history as the period when man conquered the boundaries of nature and found his independence. Road to the West, from pioneers to caravans. Western expansion, resettlement in the new lands. In an era when the sun over the arid prairies lit the dust in a whirlwind, the pioneers took up their saddles and headed for the unknown expanses of the Wild West. It was a time when each new sunrise became a promise of new life, and the smell of the fresh wind of hope beckoned them into uncharted distances. Dangers on the trail, encounters with Indians and wilderness. But the road west was not covered in roses. Facing incredible obstacles, the pioneers clashed not only with the brutality of the wilderness, but also with the dark clouds of conflict with the native population. Indians, owners of ancient lands, stood in the way of the settlers, creating an irreconcilable mixture of fear and excitement in the hearts of those who ventured on this fateful trek. Jackpot in Colorado, golden adventures in the mountains. But even in the midst of hardship, golden dreams remained unquenchable. In the mountains of Colorado, like a great treasure, a placer of gold awaited. The pioneers, like modern-day alchemists, mined gold from the bowels of the earth, intertwining their destiny with this brilliant metal like the fate of the Wild West itself. Developing the new territories, from Oregon to Texas, With the west wind on their sails, pioneers climbed the mountains of Oregon and penetrated the ruthless deserts of Texas. They established towns and settlements and built their homes on the frontiers of civilization and wilderness. As they discovered new territories, they left their mark in the sands of time, and the Wild West became not only a place of adventure, but also an amalgam of destinies intertwined in the vast expanse of America. Chapter 3: Ghost Towns and the Cowboy Storm. The aftermath of the gold rush, ghost towns, and economic decline. As the fever in the West faded and the rivers of gold became rarer, shadows of the past began to appear on the map of the Wild West. Towns that had once throbbed with life became mysterious ghost towns, where only the creaking wind and locked doors reminded them of a time when telegraph wires rattled and saloons played music. With the economic downturn came new challenges, and the towns that grew so fast became victims of their own ambition. Nevertheless, new dreams soared from the ruins, and the Wild West never stopped its exciting dance. Cowboys and their role in shaping the Wild West. Among the desert prairies and boundless hills, cowboys were an integral part of this great drama. Like a symphony against the perpetual wind, they drove herds of cattle across the vast pastures, establishing their own rules and creating their own code of honor. The role of cowboys was not limited to the pastures. They were defenders of law and order, steadfast marksmen in hot battles, and at the same time, free spirits controlling their own destinies in the vast expanses. Their strength and independence was felt by all who crossed their path. Battles for land, the peasant movement, and the struggle for rights. In the shadow of majestic mountains, the battles for land took on the appearance of historic battles. The peasant movement, seeking to defend their rights, engaged in conflicts that dramatized a picture of the Wild West. Through the dust and ashes of these battles, a spirit of justice emerged that became an inextricable part of the formation of a new society. The Wild West was not only a story of gold rushes and cowboy storms, but also an era in which every participant in this great journey contributed to the shaping of a nation. Chapter 4: The Gold Digger Hordes and the Law Front. Fighting for justice, law and order in the Wild West. In the quest to bring its outlandish dreams to life, the Wild West experienced the ups and downs, the storms of passion, and the forceful manifestations of human nature. The struggle for justice was the forge where law and order were forged, and every moth of legality immediately fought the whirlwind of crime. Despite the original intricacies, the laws of the Wild West were like a hot saddle on a rusty cage, designed to give stability to this new abode. Judges, sheriffs, and common men became the architects of a new reality in which the will of the law harmonized with the unbridled spirit of freedom ref. The Gold Digger Hordes, their life and impact on society. Hordes of gold prospectors swept across the Wild West like waves of passion, leaving behind gold fever trails and a shadow of unease. They not only changed the landscape of the land, but also inscribed their fate in the mysterious pages of history. The life of gold prospectors, full of danger and adventure, became the embodiment of the spirit of freedom. They were daredevils, in search not only for gold, but also for a new life. The influence of these intrepid travelers was felt not only in the mountain rivers, but also in the mosaic of society, where each of them left their mark. Adventures in the land of the free. The emergence of standards and values. Under the influence of adventure, each participant in this great journey began to realize his or her role in the formation of new standards and values. The Wild West was becoming not only a place where gold was sought, but also a country where self was sought. The formation of the Wild West was a time when the inhabitants of the land of freedom began to recognize common ideals, forming the foundations for future unity. In this land, free from the shackles of tradition, new standards were emerging that epitomized the spirit of sacrifice, justice, and unbridled freedom. Chapter 5. Cultural Prosperity and the Legacy of the Wild West. Cultural blossoming, art, literature, and music of the Wild West. With the coming of the Wild West's decline came a time when its spirit continued its influence, flourishing in art, literature, and music. This territory of vast prairies, speckled with saddles and cowboy tracks, became a source of inspiration for artists, writers, and musicians. The art of the Wild West reflected not only the beauty of the landscape, but also the lives of its inhabitants. Artists embodied on canvases boundless herds of buffalo, formidable contours of mountains, and hot duels on dusty streets. Cowboy-themed literary works told of life on the ranch, incredible adventures, and battles for justice. The music of the Wild West became the soundtrack of the era. Guitars, harmonicas, and the rough voices of the performers created a musical canvas on which ballads about cowboys, gold diggers, and untamed wilderness were born. The cowboy's legacy in contemporary culture. Decades later, when the dust of the Wild West has settled, its legacy lives on in modern culture. Cowboys have become symbols of freedom, independence, and uncompromising justice. Their images embody the ideals of courage and honesty, becoming a source of inspiration for cinema, literature, and fashion. Contemporary films, songs, and books continue to tell the stories of the Wild West, emphasizing its influence in shaping American identity. Cowboy style, cowboy customs, and even the cowboy code of life have left their mark on the culture, reminding us of a time when the Wild West was not just an area on the map, but a source of endless stories and legends. Ending an era. How the Wild West became history. With a final chord, the Wild West ended its journey from tumultuous birth to history. But its legacy lives on in every song, in every page of a novel, in every movie. This era has become an integral part of America's national heritage, a reminder of a time when the fire of freedom and the spirit of unbridled adventure smoldered in every nook and cranny of the Wild West. When we look to the Wild West, we see not only gold mines and vast prairies, but also a source of inspiration and guidance. Not only did this era begin with a thirst for adventure and a gold rush, but it left us with a national legacy of cultural richness and unwavering ideals. In modern America, we can still feel the very spirit of freedom that was in the air of the Wild West. That era has become a mirror for us, suggesting that even in the most difficult times, with determination and will, we can overcome any hardship and write our own history. The Wild West has become history, but its legacy will live on in our hearts and in our national memory as a monument to a time when the desire for freedom and adventure filled the air, making our journey colorful and unique. We hope you enjoyed our video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please write to us in the comments.